every pretty girl with a horrible looking man. I don't understand. Listen, I'm not shaming people for their looks, but I am though. You give an ugly guy a chance, he thinks he rules the world. I swear to God. Because they got a hot girl, they can be horrible. Like, you're still ugly, though.
This video is brought to you by the sponsors of Virtual Happiness. Guys, Christmas is right around the corner, so it is not too late for you to get your own personal, customized AI girlfriend. They are on sale right now as we speak. She is smart, she is sweet, she never rejects you, she laughs at all your jokes, she is loyal, she is never late, she loves the Cheesecake Factory. She doesn't mind if you live in a comfortable apartment and you have no plans on moving out. She cooks, she cleans, virtually of course. She's always there when you need her. She appreciates your hard work. You don't need to have the 3 6s to make her happy. All you need to satisfy her is a high-speed internet connection, at least 6 gigs of RAM. So get you an AI girlfriend today and still keep all your stuff if and when you ever decide to divorce her. But why would you divorce her? She's always in shape. She never nags you. She's super sweet. And in her eyes, you'll always be a Chad or a Tyrone. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be digging into who I have coined the original mean girl, Billie Eilish. Now, let me be honest with you guys before I get into this video. I am not very familiar with her as an artist. I'm not familiar with her music. I could not name one song, but I've definitely heard the name before. So she has been a topic of discussion lately. She did an interview, I believe a while back, where she says some pretty disgusting things about men. And this interview that she did, it resurfaced again because she just made some more outrageous, astronomical claims. And we are going to get into the new claims she just made, but I want to give you a little backstory on why she is now making front headlines again. She has said very mean, disgusting things about men in the past, and this is what this video is about. We're going to play this video, listen to what she has to say, and then we'll get into the comments that she made more recently. Why this video is important, because it just shows you the double standard that we have set in society today, where women can basically, or modern women can basically go online and just say the most egregious, despicable, disgusting things about men, and there's really no backlash for it. Now, I'll be honest, I would not have a problem with what she said, and I really don't have to. It's not like I'm losing sleep over this, because at this point we understand what's going on. The problem that I really have with this is that it's not going both ways. So I don't really have an issue with what she said if men were allowed to say the things that she said about women and it not be an issue. But we are in a climate now in our society where it is just open season to ridicule and put men down. And actually, it's been brewing for a while. So if you're familiar with my videos, you know I talk about this isn't something that just happened in a year or two. We got to understand that there was a buildup to this point. This has been happening for decades now. What happens is it comes on slow, and then it starts to have this snowball effect. It could not have happened overnight. So this could not happen in the 1950s. This could not happen in the 60s, the 40s, the 30s, or anywhere like that, because the society was completely different. But how you change a society and how you change the culture is a little bit at a time. And we see them doing that in new directions now with new things. But this is something that happened way back in the 60s is when this started happening. And then in the 70s with the no-fault divorce, and then with the liberation of women. So it's been a constant and a slow buildup to where we are at now. This is why we have to always be cognizant and aware of what's going on around us. Because a lot of times it's like I don't know if you guys are familiar with boxing, but most boxing matches don't end with a knockout. We love to see the knockout. The knockout is exciting to watch. It's great entertainment, but most boxing fights don't end with a knockout. This is important for me to say because if you are a boxing fan, you know that there is a thing called jabs, straights, left hooks, right hooks, body shots, um, left hooks to the body, right hooks to the body, uppercuts, haymakers. There's different types of punches. And then you have combinations, which is when you put these punches together in a set. So it can be two left jabs and a right cross, a left jab and a right hook, two left jabs, a right cross, back to a left hand jab. And this is how you set your opponent up to knock them out. This is the goal of the combinations, to keep them guessing, to have them off balance, not knowing where the next punch is going to come from, and it's to set them up to hit them with a more powerful punch, which in boxing you call a power punch. So, with that being said, this is how societies and cultures change. It's not from a knockout punch. It's a jab. It's a jab here. They change something here. Then they change something there. So it's these little jabs where they're changing different things very minutely in society. Whereas over time, if you jab someone in the face 100 times, you're probably going to win the fight and their face is going to look like they've been in a train wreck. But the first jab is not going to do anything. It's a accumulation of the punches that's going to do the damage. So with a society, they make these subtle changes. It's very subtle, just like the jab. But after 100 subtle changes have been made, you have a completely different society at this point. And the reason why it doesn't get stopped is because they did it using jab punches. And the people that are very aware start to wake up and realize after they've been punched in the face, by 20 jabs, I need to do something. I need to make sure I keep my guard up so I don't keep getting hit in the same side of my face with this jab punch. So you had certain people in our society, men, that seen this problem happening. They seen masculinity going away, and they seen femininity being promoted and being heightened. And they seen a broken family. They seen men being raised by women. So they had the ability to see that down the line this would be an issue. So because we didn't have anyone who would listen to these men and anyone who would advocate for men, we are now in the space that we're in now where masculinity is being attacked. Masculinity is being labeled toxic. It's being labeled dangerous. It's being labeled anything but positive. This is why Billie Eilish and others are able to come on TikTok, YouTube, do videos on national TV. So this is not just a pocket of the internet. They're able to go on national television where nationally and internationally people can see the comments that they make. They're able to do interviews in magazines, and they have a wide, broad audience to say the most discriminatory, disgusting things about men and it not be checked. Again, I would have no problem with this if men was able to do the same. But when men do it, men get canceled. And we see that. And YouTube does it too. YouTube has kicked people off YouTube. People have been kicked off TikTok. People have been kicked off Instagram. So we see that there is a punishment for certain points of view, and there's a promotion of others. And when someone fails to act, a lot of times, even though they may not be aggressively promoting it with a voice, when a person fails to act on something, they are already showing you by their lack of action that they support what is taking place. So let's play this video. Let's hear what Billie Eilish has to say. And then we'll jump into the more recent commentary. And we're going to break all this down like we always do. Honestly.
Because they finally found someone that likes them. Why is every pretty girl with a horrible looking man? I don't understand. Listen, I'm not shaming people for their looks, but I am though. You give an ugly guy a chance, he thinks he rules the world. I swear to God. Because they got a hot girl, they can be horrible. Like, you're still ugly, though. Can't change that. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's like why like guys with small dicks get like huge mansions to make up for it, you know? Or like really nice cars.
Okay, so that's the interview that Billie did a couple years ago, where she ridiculed and talked about men. Um, there was no blowback, and honestly, like I said, I really wouldn't even care about that because whatever. If men could do the same thing, I wouldn't care. But obviously, you know, this would get a man canceled, especially on a platform like that. There would be hell that would break loose. And if that man was an entertainer, he would lose gigs, he would lose out on parts, movies, kicked off a show, be forced to apologize, the whole gamut. So her more recent comments that she made is what brought back up this interview. So she did a more recent interview that a lot of people bashed her on, and they went back and then dug in the crates and brought up this video that she did. So now we're going to go to the new comments that we made, and then we'll come back.
In a brand new interview with Variety, Billie Eilish is getting candid about body image and the way that men and women view attractiveness. So she says, quote, "Nobody ever says a thing about men's bodies. If you're muscular, cool. If you're not, cool. If you're rail thin, cool. If you have a dad bod, cool. If you're pudgy, love it. Everybody's happy with it. You know why? Because girls are nice. They don't give an F because we see people for who they are." Now, it's that last part. Yeah, our audience agrees. It's the last part because girls are nice and we see people for who they are. Lauren, agree or disagree?
I think, look, I know. Exactly. It's so high. I mean, it's very tension. A lot of tension in the room. I think overall, I think there is more of an acceptance from women in terms of men's bodies. I think that we are fed from a young age. We see hot Marge Simpson with Homer. We see Leah Remini with Kevin James. We see these matches where that's all fine and that's all good, and there's not really a lot of comments about it. I think when women become pitted against each other, that's when it can kind of get a little bit, can be a different thing. But I also still blame patriarchy.
Yep.
I still blame patriarchy. I still am not gonna blame the women. I don't have it in me.
Guys, you heard it for yourself. What did she say? I'm not going to blame the women. I don't have it in me. What that transfer over to, what that's code for is, no matter what information or what data or what proof you bring me, I refuse to blame the women. I don't have it in me. I refuse to do it. This is what modern men are up against. You can't change their mind.
I rest my case.
We are all made to be this way. That's when patriarchy wins. When we are fighting against each other, that's when they win. And they sit back and laugh and watch as
Can you just repeat that one more time to those people?
They have to blame somebody. Modern women are professional victims. They always have to blame someone. It's always someone else's fault. It's always a man's fault. It always comes back to the men. Whether it be patriarchy, whether it be corporations, it always comes back to the men. Women are allergic to responsibility and to accountability. It always comes back to the men. Somehow, some kind of way, it is a man's fault. It has to be a man's fault because women cannot live in reality. They cannot live in the reality that they themselves create. Because for them to accept the reality that they created, they would have to also accept that they don't make good decisions. They would have to accept that the more free they became, the more liberated they became, the more reckless they have become. With much freedom, much liberty, comes more decision making, freedom to make decisions, and when they got more freedom to make decisions, they have made a mess of their lives. And to accept that and to live in that reality, they will also have to come to the realization that they need men. But they can't live in that reality and admit and accept the fact that they need men. My last video showed it. There is a reason why they can't accept it. Why can't they live in a reality and accept the fact that they need men? This is why.
Independence. So the feeling that you have the freedom to do what you want to do, not depend on a man, is intoxicating. It's freeing.
I think what's been happening, actually, I know what's been happening, is that men have been walking around for decades, sleepwalking through life. We have been pacified. We got the house, we got the wife, we got the kids, we got the family, and we was happy with that. And in the midst of achieving that, there was something else that was going on right in front of our faces. And it happened with the changing of the TV shows, with the movies. You can see the shift starting in the 70s, I would say, is when you were seeing a hardcore shift. Shows started to come on TV with women that were divorced. You started to see shows with families between a man and a woman, but it was broken. One of the shows I liked a lot, and I still like it till this day, but it also represents a shift in our society, is the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch is one of my favorite shows. I believe it is a wholesome American show about a family. You can sit your kids in front of it, and you don't have to worry about anything inappropriate going on. You didn't have to worry about any kind of sex or vulgar language happening. But at the same time, you've seen a divorced woman of 3 daughters and a divorced man of 3 sons creating a blended family. It was during that time you started to see shows come on TV, and it didn't look like the shows of old. It didn't look like the Leave It to Beavers. It didn't look like and I wasn't alive when Leave It to Beaver came on. I'm not old, but I watched it. I seen the reruns. I had Nickelodeon. I watched Nick at Night. I seen Leave It to Beaver. I seen what else was on? Patty Duke. I seen all those old shows, man, that used to come on, which were family shows, wholesome family shows that had 2-parent households. I seen it, but I also seen the shift when later shows started to come on, like the Brady Bunch, and there was another show called One Day at a Time. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. There was a show called One Day at a Time, and this is the show here, One Day at a Time. You can see the woman. That's the mom. She's a single mother of 2 daughters. She gets a divorce and she moves into this apartment, and it's basically, the show is about her raising her 2 daughters as a single mom. The guy on the left there is he was the handyman for the apartment building that she moved in. But this is when you started seeing the emergence of the single mother, of the single mom raising kids on her own. This is when you seen the shift in our society. It started shifting towards this, and this started becoming more and more of the norm. And we're seeing the shift in television and in movies. We're seeing life imitate art, or art imitate life. So the things that are on TV is they typically represent what's happening in the current society or the current culture. So back when most families were married, there were 2-parent households, the shows and the movies reflected that. Now that most households are broken, most families are broken, most of us are raised by single parents, the TV shows now also reflect that. They become a reflection of the society. So what I am saying is that the same way these shows started reflecting what was happening in society, so was all the vitriol that's coming towards men. That is happening in society, and that is now accepted. It's accepted on television, it's accepted on the internet, and so you can see the shift. You've seen the shift. A lot of people have talked and spoken about it back when they had shows that was, the woman was smart, she was stable, the guy was stupid. You started to see that shift. And now we're at a place now where it's completely, totally acceptable to talk about a man, even down to his genitalia. What did Billie Eilish say? She talked about the guy men having small private parts. She's not the only one that's done that. A lot of women do it now. It's commonplace now. You can go on TikTok and they say small D energy. So it's something that's readily accept it. But women cannot live, getting back to the original point, they cannot live in reality. Because to live in reality is to accept the fact that you make poor decisions. And if I make poor decisions, that means I am incapable of running my life properly. And I need someone to help me do that. That someone would be a man. And I cannot accept that reality because I do not want to accept that answer. Because of why? Being independent and not needing a man is intoxicating. Now, there was one woman on this panel talking about the Billie Eilish article that actually made some sense. And we're going to play her part and then come back.
Let me say this. I think that we are equally hateful. I think that women are just as critical of men, and I think it goes both
we're
ways.
just quieter about it.
No, we value different things. We value different things because you think about it. When a man has a type, like, guys, I'm a breast man, I'm a leg man. When they have a type, if they meet that woman and she is their physical type, but she doesn't meet any other requirements, he's okay with that. With women, if we meet like a Brad Pitt and he's hot, but he doesn't have much to say, this is how we end up going for the Brad Garrett, right?
Yes, this is true.
If you don't have financial stability, if you're not a smart guy, if I can't trust your leadership in life, you slowly become less attractive. And this is how we end up with guys. We just value different things. It's not that we're nice, we just want stability. A woman would rather be with a guy who has financial stability, good leadership, intelligent, great conversation, instead of the guy that only has abs, where unfortunately our male counterparts will be like, she looks hot, she has much to say, but I don't care, she looks good in my car. And guys are okay with that. We're not okay with that. And that's why you see the difference. But I don't think we're nicer, we're just different.
All right, so you heard what she had to say, and she actually made the most sense. Yes, men are a lot easier and simpler to please. Yes, we are. We will accept a woman who is attractive, who is supportive, and who is loyal, and who respects us. If we can get those 4 things out of her, then we're good to go. We don't need her to be a leader. We don't need her to be a provider. We don't need her to protect us. We just need her to do the things that I said. And you see this woman basically say that. And at the same time, she's saying all these different checklists that women have. So she's admitting that women have a slew of checklists when it comes to someone that they are readily available and willing to settle down with versus men. But the comment she makes when she says girls are nice, that just blew my mind. That just blew my mind, and it just lets you know how delusional modern women are. The delusion runs deep. There are a lot of men who commit suicide every year. A lot of men who are depressed. I actually have a friend who's on antidepressant medication because of the issues that he's had with the mother of his children. There are a lot of men who kill themselves or who unalive themselves because of issues with divorce, issues not being able to see their kids. It baffles me how delusional women are and how unsympathetic and empathetic they are when it comes to issues that men face. They really have no empathy. That's why Billie Eilish can go on an interview that millions of people can see and say something about men genitalia and it be left unchecked, when we know if that was in the reverse how that would end up. It baffles me how she can say something like that and still have a career. And I want to reiterate, I wouldn't have a problem with the things she said. I wouldn't agree with them, I wouldn't like them, but I wouldn't have a problem with what she said if at the same time Justin Timberlake, Chris Brown, or any other famous entertainer out there can say the exact same thing about women, talk about their genitalia the way she did, talk about ugly women getting with attractive, handsome men. And, at the end of the day, they're still ugly. And if a man could do the same thing, especially a man of her caliber, with her reach and with her audience, if he can do the same thing and no one backs or winks an eye to it, then I have no problem with what she's saying. But the problem with what she's saying points to a bigger issue. This didn't start with Billie Eilish. This has been happening for a very long time now. And we've gotten conditioned to a place where this type of behavior has become acceptable. And this is how it happens. This is how they lull you to sleep. Remember the analogy I used earlier with the jabs? This is how they do it. One jab at a time. And before you know it, you wake up with a swollen, your left eye is swollen, your left face is puffy, your jaw's broken. And you're like, when did this happen? Well, it happened because you got jabbed in your face 100 times. And you didn't respond to the first jab, the second jab, the third jab, but jabs add up. And before you know it, you're on a canvas sitting on your butt looking up. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this video. I am not familiar with Billie Eilish. I admit that, like I said earlier, so I don't know much about her. I did do some reading up on her to do this review here. I know she talked about having body issues in her past. And let me say this, guys. Hurt people hurt people. It's a fact. Hurt people hurt people. So I don't know what she's carrying from her past, but when people go through bad and traumatic experiences, it can do one or two things. It can make them empathetic, or it can just make them mean and bitter. And it seems like the experiences that she went through, it made her mean and bitter. And it's also made her delusional. But remember, she's a modern woman, and she's young too. This lets you know that the delusion runs deep. It's not just this generation. It's this generation. It's the last generation. The delusion runs deep. And before I get out of here, let me say this, guys. Before I started working out, I hardly got any women. Hardly got any dates. Hardly got any play. At least from the women I wanted. After I started working out and I built up a muscular body, I started getting a lot of dates, and I started getting a lot of girls that like me. So when Billie Eilish says women don't care about your body, if you're chubby, cool, pudgy, cool, dad bod, cool, it's an absolute lie. It's 100% cap. And I'm living proof of it. I don't have to read an article. I don't have to look in a book. I don't have to hear somebody else tell me about it firsthand or secondhand, third hand, fourth hand. I can tell you about it firsthand from personal experience. It's an absolute lie. I literally seen my love life go from 0 to 100 when my body changed. Don't believe women when they tell you that they're okay with how you look, whether you're muscular or whether you're not muscular. Remember, and I always preach this and I'll continue to preach this, never listen to what a woman says. Always watch what she does. You want to know the type of men your girlfriend likes, or the potential girl that you're trying to date likes? Look at her ex-boyfriends. That's her type. And a lot of times their type don't match the words that come out of their mouth. So guys, let me know what you think about this video. Leave your comments below, and I'll talk to you soon.